Wait, don't adjust your settings. The video isn't glitching out. This is a recreation of what video compression looks like when it's glitching out, but running in real time in the Unreal Engine. This glitch effect is called Datamoshing, and in this video, I'm going to try to break apart how it all works and then recreate it in the Unreal Engine. At a first glance, this may seem similar to a glitch that appears in old video games when you clip outside the map or beat solitaire. But this is a different glitch called the Hall of Mirrors effect. Games render each frame to a buffer in memory and then display it. When building the next frame, the game writes to this same buffer. However, in the case where the engine doesn't know what to render at a specific pixel, the engine just sends a null value to the buffer which doesn't replace what was already stored. In Solitaire, this creates a trail of cards, and in games like Doom, when we're outside of the map, it's just empty out here. Like, it's not black, there's just nothing there. And it's just showing what was last in the frame. OK Go used this effect in their music video WTF back in 2009 because of course they did. They used a green screen and then masked out everything else to be transparent. I recreated this effect for my video game Kitten Burst when the song Noclip plays, but I'm not going to show it because it's a spoiler, sorry. So this is a cool effect, but it's the result of the video game engine running. It's not the video compression artifacts that we're looking for. Video takes up a ton of space. Just look at the file size of this footage I'm recording. But do we really need to send every pixel, every frame? Like, look at the background. It's not moving at all. Besides her. Instead of sending these pixels over and over and over again, what if we just sent one frame of all the color data, and then subsequent frames we sent how the pixels moved around? This technique is called motion compensation, and it saves a ton of space. The frames that have all the image data are called iframes, and frames that have the motion data are called p-frames. There's also b-frames, which is using the difference between past and future frames as a way to predict the current frame. Videos are usually so good at doing this now that you don't even notice it. But if your internet starts lagging and you drop important iframes, it starts to glitch. For example, let's say we have a scene where I'm waving at you. So we just have one iframe at the start, and then the rest are p-frames. And it works well at first, but then it quickly becomes just a mess. Here's another example. Let's say we're in one scene and we cut to a completely different scene. Usually the video compression recognizes this and adds an iframe at the change so that we know what the new shot should look like. But if that frame is lost, now the old image data stays on the frame and is getting smeared around based on the movements of the new shot. You can use this effect to do some trippy magic tricks if you plan out how the shots combine together. 2009 must have been the year of glitch art because it also had the first music video to use datamoshing, and it was by the legendary artist Caroline Polachek. She beat Ye to the punch by like a week.
And there was actually a mini arms race because the team of genius nerd friends of ours that developed an easy way of doing this split in two. There was a schism in the nerd squad, and half of them started working on a video for Kanye, and half of them started working on a video for us. And Kanye got really angry online and like posted about that like someone else had beaten him to the punch on datamoshing.
Okay, so now that we know how this works, how do we do it in real time? Videos take a long time to encode because they're calculating all of the motion of the pixels. But in game engines, we're already doing that work. It's motion vectors. Unreal already renders out the motion vectors of the objects being rendered on the screen. If we just save the current frame and then instead of rendering the next frame, we move the pixels around based on this motion vector, then there we have it. A real-time datamoshing effect. Okay, I just made that sound super easy, but it took me like a month to figure out how to do this. I started out using scene capture, but that didn't work. Then I figured out how to inject my shader into the render pipeline itself using something called the scene view extension, and I got lost down that rabbit hole for a while. Then someone on Twitter let me know about this plugin made by Petya, which I used for reference to figure out how to actually work with the scene view extension, and then I just started building off of that for this video. If you're looking to play around with this effect for yourself, I definitely recommend checking out that plugin. I'll link it in the description. Oh, also, since this effect is frame dependent, I'd recommend locking the frame rate to 60 FPS. It's to 60 FPS, okay? Chill. Of course, it's not quite the same as real video compression. It can't render those predictive B frames because I can't predict the future yet. But also, the motion vectors are too perfect. Video compression has a little jank to it since it's figuring out the motion based on the images, but this is close enough for me. So why do this in a game engine? Well, it's cool, but also now we can play around with other shader techniques in combination with this to create some really unique glitch effects that you couldn't easily do with filmmaking. First up, let's use the depth buffer to scale how much the old frames blend in with the new frames. Now we have a depth of field effect, but instead of getting blurry, it gets datamoshed. What if we flip it? Now objects closer to the camera get datamoshed. It almost looks like a cloaking effect. In Unreal, you can also set certain models to show up in a custom depth buffer. We can use this to mask specific objects to get datamoshed. It's really terrifying to me. It makes it look like these objects can't be perceived. There's another technique that glitch artists like to do where they take one P frame and they just copy it over and 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 over, so the same movement gets applied over and over and over again. It's really creepy. It makes it look like things are melting. Let's try this out in Unreal. Whenever our character ragdolls, I trigger the Datamoshing effect. Then after a second, I save the current motion vector and then just to keep applying that to each frame. This effect also reminded me of an analog effect where you point your camera at a screen showing what the camera is showing. This feedback loop creates some really trippy images and color distortions. I need to get the lighting right, but it's really trippy. Okay, you could stop disassociating now. What if we use this as inspiration for our Datamosh effect? I added a step in the script to add some upwards motion to everything, and then added a tint to each frame. It looks pretty cool. This also reminded me of an effect in the game Control, where the monsters would dissolve into this prismatic smoke. Remedy posted a behind the scenes video showing off how this works. It's similar to the datamoshing, but the movement vector is based off of fluid simulation. So how efficient is this? Well, flipping the effect on and off, I see no visible drops in the FPS. Unreal already renders out the motion vectors, so we don't need to calculate that again. All we're doing is moving and combining pixels on the GPU, which is what GPUs are good at, processing graphics. This isn't actual compression, so it's not making anything more efficient. But this technique of looking at previous frames can be used for efficiency in other applications. Temporal anti-aliasing is a newish form of anti-aliasing that looks at frames over time to smooth out its image. Unreal uses this in their volumetrics like clouds as well. This technique works great, but the drawback is that it can create these ghost trail artifacts, and also the image can start to look pretty blurry. There's a lot of Redditors and people in the comments of this video who despise TAA, but I don't know, I think it looks alright compared to other anti-aliasing. We've mostly moved on to AI anti-aliasing now anyways, like DLSS, which is an actual practical use of AI, by the way. Why did tech bros have to ruin the term AI for everyone? Oh, but also DLSS now uses temporal data as well in combination with the AI stuff, so sorry Redditors. I should credit some of the people I learned about datamoshing from. Bob Weisz is one of the genius nerds Caroline was talking about. He posted a series on YouTube back in the day about his datamoshing process. Most of the info is outdated now, but it's still really funny and worth the watch.
The term comes from the Latin word data, which is an android on Star Trek.
For the video footage glitches in this video, I use the app Moshup, which is a really easy way to play with datamoshing on your phone. Also, I use this funky tool DD Glitch Assist by Daz Disley. Ompuco wrote up a really useful article about how they recreated datamoshing in Unity. I think they're working on a datamoshing shader in Reshade right now so that they can datamosh any game they want. He's the GOAT. Or Ram, I think. Links to all these people and tools in the description. I hope you've been enjoying this game dev series. I started with recreating the look of a digicam, then the shakiness of the hand holding it. Now I've recreated the artifacts that can occur when uploading video to the internet. I do think a lot of modern video games fall into the trap of making things look as realistic as possible, but it's not all bad. I think there's a lot to learn when attempting to make things realistic. In learning the technical details of internet video, it allowed me to break it and stylize it in new and interesting ways. December 19th, 1995. Brian Eno wrote in his journal, "Whatever you now find weird, ugly, uncomfortable, and nasty about a new medium will surely become its signature. CD distortion, the jitteriness of digital video, the crap sound of 8-bit, all these will be cherished and emulated as soon as they can be avoided. It's the sound of failure. So much of modern art is the sound of things going out of control, of a medium pushing to its limits and breaking apart. The distorted guitar is the sound of something too loud for the medium supposed to carry it. The blues singer with the cracked voice is the sound of an emotional cry too powerful for the throat that releases it. The excitement of grainy film, of bleached out black and white, is the excitement of witnessing events too momentous for the medium assigned to record them." Note to the artist: when the medium fails conspicuously, and especially if it fails in new ways, the listener believes something is happening beyond its limits. So yeah, that's datamoshing. I had a ton of fun playing around with this effect. I think you could use it as a really cool level transition or camera transition thing, or like a warp effect, or like a game over death screen or something. Wasted. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Bye.